All right, it is now 5:30 p.m. I hereby call this Monday, August 17th, 2026, City of Airway Heights Legislative Session to order. Just to note that I myself as Vice Chair am chairing the meeting at the request of Chair Bowman pursuant to Council Rule 3.5 due to the Chair attending remotely. This time, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And for tonight's message, although there may be much discord this evening, please remind all participants and those in the gallery to remain respectful and refrain from any disruption this evening. Roll call, please.
Chair Bowman. He is present. Davin Perry.
Present.
Cassandra Quisnell. Carrie Bro.
Present.
Bill Campbell.
Present.
Jesse Camacho.
Present.
Jennifer Morton.
Present.
This will be a long list. Bear with me if I forget anyone, and I apologize. Let the record show the following staff are in attendance. City Manager Albert Tripp, City Attorney Dan Gibbons, City Attorney Matt Daly, City Attorney Kim Camel, Tara Moses, Finance Director, Mitch Metzger, Fire Chief, Katie Dorman, Court Administrator, Nicole Montano, Code Enforcement, Robert Tagg, Planning Technician, Heather Troutman, Planning Director, Captain Jake Keith, Lieutenant Aaron Madison, Judge Rick Mount, Interim Parks and Rec Director Andy Gardner, Associate Planner Zach Becker, Chief Brad Richmond, Rachel Grubb, Ashley Martinez, Cassie DeMarco, all from the Hope Center, Jack Schaefer, Fire Department, Joe Oliver, Planning Department, Assistant Clerk Treasurer Tanya Dashiell, Public Works Director Catherine Miller, Allison Richmond, Finance Department, Jan Quintrell, Public Works Department, Grants Director Elise Minotti, Tiffany Henderson, Finance Director, Corporal Adam Johnson, Public Records Specialist Zant Supita, Assistant Chief Mike Makala, and Heather Smith from the Court Department. Is there any member of the staff that I may have overlooked?
All right, thank you. Moving on to our agenda approval, we have several agenda amendments proposed. First item is to table the approval.
Chair, we need to excuse the absence of.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Council, what is our desire on the absence of Ms. Quisnell?
Move to approve. The absence.
I have a first by Mr. Camacho,
Second.
second by Mr. Campbell. In discussion?
She did provide an email that she was not available this evening.
I would just state for the reason of my voting nay on this matter is that even if you have a reason, we're paid to be here, and the subsequent multiple absences are unacceptable in my opinion. There's been a first and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Absence is excused with a vote of 5-1. All right, thank you for that reminder. Moving on to our agenda additions proposed. First item, table approval of item CA2 on the consent agenda, the minutes from the August 10th, 2026 council study session pending additions by legal counsel. Table that item. Would like to have a motion to suspend any applicable rule to immediately consider all items on the agenda, including items added during the meeting. So we'll make this motion after the agenda approval, if desired. There was an executive session for the council to discuss legal matters directly prior to item E, so after item D, regarding the performance of a public employee, for discussion with legal counsel regarding potential litigation, and discussion with legal counsel about legal risks of proposed action with potential action to follow. Item E, the proposed resolution 2026-18 to include Exhibit 1, which is a retention letter for Miller Nash to be retained as an investigator. Exhibit 1 was not attached in the original agenda packet. New item G, potential action to name a substitute interim city manager as contemplated by proposed resolution 2026-19, which is item F. And new item H, potential action to provide that the policy of the City of Airway Heights shall be that no department head, acting department head, interim department head, or similar officer shall be excluded from periodic meetings of department heads, meetings or discussions regarding such department's budget, meetings or discussions regarding increases or reductions to such department staffing, or meetings or discussions regarding elimination, consolidation, or modification of such department. Those are the proposed agenda additions. What is the desire of council?
May,
Yes, Mr. Campbell.
First, my question is with regard to consent agenda item CA2. Can we know the reason why the minutes that are in the packet should not just be accepted?
The concerns I had on reviewing the minutes were,
I'm sorry, sir, is your microphone turned on? Because I'm having trouble hearing you.
okay. The concerns I had upon reviewing the minutes were the description of the executive session, the description of the first motion to take, should have been a motion to amend the agenda, various wording on the others to reflect the accuracy of the actions the council took.
may I seek clarification to the agenda amendment? I wasn't understanding what items were added this evening.
If they were to be added, there's two new items.
Okay,
Item G would be the potential action to name a substitute interim city manager as contemplated by Resolution 2619.
okay,
And item H, in summary, is a proposed policy by council to provide that the city of Airway Heights shall be that no department head, acting department head, or interim department head or similar officer shall be excluded from periodic meetings of department heads, meetings or discussions regarding such department's budgets, meetings or discussions regarding increases or reductions of such department staffing, or meetings or discussions regarding elimination, consolidation, or modification of such department.
okay. Attorney Gibbons, could I get that in writing so I can articulate that in the meeting minutes tonight?
I can provide assistance if needed.
Thank you.
So I have one further question. So if we approve the amended agenda, we will still come back and deal with these items such as the motion for rule suspension and et cetera. We will still deal with those items. Yes?
Correct. This is just for the agenda. Every sub item is voted on independently, as always. Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there a desire of council to pass the agenda with said additions?
Move to approve the amended agenda.
I have a first by Ms. Bro. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Camacho. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? I missed your hand, Ms. Morton. You were in favor? Are you abstaining? Okay. Motion passes 5-0 with one abstention. No announcements or presentations. Moving on to council reports. Guys.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chair. I have a few comments. Obviously, we have some rather momentous topics to discuss tonight. Unfortunately, I wasn't here last week, which apparently the seeds of this thing were planted last week and I wasn't here. I guess I'll have to plan my vacations around study sessions. Who knew they'd be so exciting? I do have some concerns about a number of these things, not the least of which starting with this removal of the minutes from the agenda. And the reason I have concern about that is because we're taking action or potentially taking action tonight based on events recorded in those minutes. And we're seemingly going to try to redact or alter or adjust those minutes to fit the present scenario. Because I have some concerns about things like possible violation of RCW 42.30.110 executive sessions. And my specific concern is that one of the purposes of having an executive session is to receive and evaluate complaints or charges brought against a public official or employee. As I've been able to figure out from the various emails that have gone on since last Monday's meeting, it didn't sound like to me that there were any charges made at the time. that we convene an executive session during which time a number of conversations erupted, which then resulted in some resolutions being proposed and such. So I have very big concerns about that. Feel like, I think a lot of the difficulties that the council and the city managers has had recently boiled down to communications. And frankly, I think a bit of a power struggle. And I know that, or I suspect that it will come out that there is apparently difference of opinion between the city staff, particularly the city manager, and the council, or some members of the council anyway, as to who's running the show in terms of who is managing the city, who is the CEO of Arroway Heights. And right now, that individual is Mr. Tripp. And I view this entire set of proceedings as being very important and potentially very detrimental to the future health of this city. And so I implore the audience tonight to pay very close attention to everything that is said and everything that is done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Any further comments from council? Not seeing any on the dais. Any online? Not seeing any online. All right, that'll move us on.
Wait, I have.
Oh,
comment.
okay. Go ahead, Ms. Morton.
I'm going to read this to make sure that it gets recorded. Chair, I want to be clear about my position. I am not saying that council should never investigate performance concerns, retain an outside investigator, appoint an interim city manager, or establish appropriate policies. My concern is the process by which we're being asked to do all these things tonight. We have an investigation resolution, an outside investigator's retention agreement that was not included in the original packet, an executive session concerning the city manager, a potential interim city manager appointment, and a new department head policy, all being added and substantially supplemented at the same meeting. These are significant personnel, legal, financial, and organizational decisions. I believe council has an obligation to make those decisions based on complete information and a clearly defined record. I'm asking that we slow this process down enough to make sure that council has the documentation necessary to make an informed decision.
Thank you, Ms. Morton.
I believe Ms. Quisnell has joined. I'm not seeing her name on the list, I don't think. But
She's there.
Believe per her email, though, she's not an active voting member. She's just an observer. So it doesn't count as an official attendance if she's not. Or do we just do our abstention
I
rule?
believe it's considered abstention.
Okay.
I
Okay,
think
we'll just count it as an
yeah,
abstention per our policies.
I don't know if there's anything that would prevent her from voting. I think it's up to her since she is present remotely.
Okay, we'll move on from there. Moving on to staff reports.
Does any staff member have a report this evening? Mr. Tripp?
Thank you very much. Deputy Chair and Council, I just have one brief remark I wanted to provide an update on with respect to human resources, with the transition of our finance director, Sarah Moses, whom we will miss. With that preparation for the transition, plans have been made for human resources in terms of how those duties will continue on. And to that end, an HR contract has been put in place with TRUP HR to perform those duties as Ms. Moses transitions out to her new role and to continue the continuity of the City of Avenel services. That concludes my report.
Any other staff? Any other staff member this evening have a report?
That will move us on to public comments. If there's anyone in the audience who has not signed our sign-up sheet here and wishes to do so, you may do so at this time for public comment. Now is the time to hear from our public. We welcome your comments, which are very important to us. Please go to the podium, speak in the microphone, give your name and address. Address your comments to the chair, council as a whole, not to individuals. Courtesy is appreciated. Comments are welcome on general city business or specific agenda items. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. You may not donate your time to another speaker. If several people are here to speak on the same subject, we invite you to choose a single representative who may speak for 3 minutes. I'm only seeing 4 names on the list. I think, Mr. Beinecker. All right, and if there are any online, we'll go to you secondarily as well. With only 5 names, I believe that's okay. We can just go through the list here. First up, Mr. Shield.
Thank you, council. This evening, I've been asked to read a letter on behalf of Nicole Montano, our code enforcement officer. To the Airway Heights City Council, I am writing to express my support for City Manager Albert Tripp and to share my personal experience working for the City of Airway Heights. I have worked in and around government and public service for the last 25 years. During that time, I have served as a reserve deputy sheriff with the Spokane County Sheriff's Office, worked for Spokane County for 15 years with the Prosecutor's Office and Scraps, worked as a community corrections officer with the Washington State Department of Corrections, and served the city of Spokane Valley as a code enforcement officer. Throughout my career, I have had the opportunity to work with many different leaders, departments, and public agencies. These experiences have given me a good perspective on what effective leadership looks like and how important integrity and professionalism are in public service. Since working for the City of Airway Heights, I have consistently heard positive things about Albert and the way he manages the city. More importantly, my own experience has been that he is a kind, professional, and dedicated public servant who genuinely wants to see Airway Heights succeed. Airway Heights has historically had a reputation as being something of a Wild West community. Albert has been instrumental in helping the city move beyond that reputation and toward a more organized, professional, and forward-looking community. One example of that progress is the creation of positions such as mine. As the city's code and compliance officer, I have been tasked with bringing unpermitted development and other code issues into compliance. I also work closely with the police department and assist in handling nuisance complaints. This work is not simply about enforcement or issuing penalties. It is about working with the property owners, correcting problems, improving neighborhoods, and making sure development is done safely and according to adopted standards. That work has also had a tangible benefit to the city. Bringing previously unpermitted improvements into compliance has resulted in additional building permits, public works permits, and pre-development meetings. By bringing them into compliance, we are helping ensure that development meets safety requirements and contributes to the long-term health and appearance of the community. I have seen firsthand how these efforts can improve the city. Permitted and properly reviewed improvements beautify Airway Heights, bring properties up to code, and help protect public safety and welfare. I believe creating the capacity to do this work demonstrates a willingness by the city to address longstanding issues rather than simply accepting the way things have always been done. Government work is not always easy, and meaningful change can sometimes create disagreement or criticism. I understand that elected officials have a responsibility to ask questions and hold city administration accountable. That is an important part of good government. At the same time, I believe it is equally important that the accomplishments and positive contributions of dedicated public employees are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Shield. Out of just fairness, we hit 3 minutes. We have a lot of speakers just to be equitable to all. Thank you. Moving on to number 2, I believe it's Mr. Robbie. Is that correct, is it John Robbie? Robbins?
John Robbins, I believe.
Thank you, council, for letting me speak. This topic is in regards to RCW 64.04.010, and that's writing franchise agreements on public property, which is against the law in Washington State. So my question to the council and the city of Airway Heights is, why are you getting paid to give away my property for utilities franchises? Why have you added 2 feet illegally to my 10-foot prescribed easement in my deed, now calling it a 12-foot easement, which are all violations of Washington state law? I just would like some answers of how this happens. You're taking 22 feet of my front yard now. You're calling a 10-foot easement, a 12-foot easement, and an additional 10-foot utility easement on my private property, just clearly against the law in Washington state. I hope the council, and I've already spoke with Daniel previously, I hope you guys take this into consideration, because the coalition of citizens who you are taking their property is getting bigger every day. Thank you.
So,
Just a minute,
Mr.
please.
Robbins, if I
Yeah.
can perhaps add a little bit of context.
What's that?
If I can add a little bit of context so the folks on the council can understand your comments better.
Sure.
Ziply Fiber I'm not sure exactly what work they've been doing, but they've been working in the city. And,
Managing people's yards.
okay, and Mr. Robbins, feels that, they're outside of the right of way or outside of their rights to do the work that they've been doing. Or anything else?
Clearly outside of the 10-foot utility easement that is shown in my title and my deed. That's all I have to say. Anything
repeat-
outside of that, this isn't the Old West. You can't just come take people's property.
Could you repeat the RCW, please?
What's that?
Could you repeat the RCW, please?
Sure can. 64.04.010.
Thank you.
Easements are for private property. Franchises are for publicly owned property. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robbins. Next comment, T. Horn. T. Horn.
Good evening. My name is Terry Horn. I'm a West Plains resident. There's a lot of discussion about a proposed AI data center going in at 11703 Medical Lake Road. The issue is the county has not been forthcoming in their own CAO, the Critical Area Ordinance, and their own comprehensive plan. They're going through an EIS, an environmental impact study right now. And it sounds like a data center is being pushed through on some type of interim zoning ordinance. And I would like this council to at least clarify if that's true or not. But my concern is where this data center is about to go on Medical Lake is over the Grand Ronde Critical Aquifer Recharge Area of high and moderate susceptibility. The other issue with this AI data center coming in is the fact that it is, there's no statutes, there's no law for the EPA to regulate anything above, or excuse me, below the human threshold for hearing. That's 20 hertz and below. That's called infrasound. And it causes things like insomnia, chronic fatigue. It impacts our inner ear, our vestibular system. There's going to be a lot of negative environmental impacts to our environment if these regulations are not taken into consideration. We truly need more scientifically based evidence, the best available science, before we move forward on something just for economic development. We need to try to balance that economic development with environmental standards. I hope that this council truly does think about the infrasound impacts that there are no statutes on right now. So you're going to have to find the qualifications and skill set of minded individuals, scientifically minded individuals like myself with a degree in physics and engineering and a degree in environmental policy and planning. We do need to do this properly, and I do thank you for your time. Please consider the infrasound and our aquifer.
Thank you, Ms. Horn. Next up, Julia McHugh.
I want to encourage everyone to lean into their microphones. It is almost impossible to hear what's going on here. So I'm Julia McHugh. I live in the Palisades neighborhood on the West Plains. I have attended dozens of meetings about the county's 20-year comprehensive plan update. They are pushing forward to the finish date of December 2026, despite the fact that they are working with 30-year-old science, which is, I'll show the crowd here. This is where the wastewater treatment plant is, which is down here. This map is so grossly outdated. It was done in 1995. It was supposedly updated in 19. It has no paleo channels, which we know there are 5 on this 130 square mile plateau we live on. There are 5 paleo channels, and then this map, which is the most recent best available science, shows you where the wastewater treatment plant is, which is right in squarely in the middle of some of the most PFAS contaminated areas on the West Plains. I live on a contaminated well over here to the east. But what's happening here is that the county documentation is not holding up to the rules and regulations they purport to be updating in this comprehensive plan. We're going to be living with it until 2046. And it does not in the least reflect where the paleo channels are, where the levels of contamination are, both here from the airport and from Fairchild. And I think that you ought to be very, very wary about the data and the documentation that you take into your considerations about this wastewater treatment plant and the reuse of the cooling water to run a data center. So be very wary about it, because we're banging them over the head for months, year and a half, actually. Update.
Well, thank you, Ms. McHugh. Our last in-house speaker, Mr. Hank Beinecker.
So everybody can hear me here. Good evening, everyone. It's my privilege to take a few moments to recognize someone whose leadership has made a significant and lasting difference in our community, our outstanding city manager, Mr. Albert Tripp. Great city management is about far more than budgets, policies, and projects. It's about people. It requires listening carefully, making difficult decisions thoughtfully, and always keeping the long-term well-being of this community in mind. Albert Tripp has demonstrated those qualities every day. City management isn't easy, and if it was, everyone would be doing it. Through challenges and opportunities alike, he has led with professionalism, integrity, and a genuine commitment to public service. He has brought people together, encouraged innovation, and worked tirelessly to make our city a better place to live, work, and raise a family. People love and respect Albert Tripp, and they trust him because he's earned their trust. What stands out most is not simply what has been accomplished, but how it has been accomplished, with respect for employees, residents, elected officials, and everyone who calls this community home. Leadership like this does not happen by accident. It takes vision, patience, courage, and an unwavering sense of responsibility. Our city is stronger because of that leadership, and our community is better because of the dedication behind it. He is without exception a man of good character and integrity, and all of us who call Airway Heights our home are fortunate to have a man of his caliber at the helm. So tonight, please join me in expressing our sincerest appreciation for an exceptional city manager and an extraordinary public servant. Thank you, Albert Tripp, for your hard work, your leadership, and your commitment to our community. Secondly, tonight's agenda calls for your consideration to investigate this man for his work performance and a potential for suspending and putting him on administrative leave. Albert Tripp has served as our city manager since June 2008. That's 18 years. 18. And what? Now all of a sudden he doesn't know how to do his job? I don't buy it. This is an example of government overreach, and I believe this is being driven by personal agendas and retaliation. And by your actions, you've created a hostile work environment. By doing this, you're placing this city at risk for potential lawsuits. Now pay close attention to what I'm about to say, because this is important for all of you to understand. City councils can and have been sued successfully, and personal liability can arise from it. And pursuant to the revised code of Washington, RCW.
Thank you, Mr. Beinecker. Your time expired.
4.470, it does not provide blanket immunity.
Mr. Beinecker, your time's expired out of fairness for all.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Mr. Beinecker. Moving on to our online comments, we have a one hand raised, Ms. Robinson.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can. You may begin.
Okay. I just was going to speak on the data center. Airway Heights already has a huge PFAS contamination issue that's affected our groundwater throughout the West Plains. Airway Heights was selected for a federal PFAS exposure assessment, and testing found that some PFAS levels in residents' blood were as much as 56 times higher than the national levels. This problem isn't simply history. In 2024, 57% of more than 400 private wells in the West Plains have PFAS above drinking water standards. That should matter when we consider bringing another enormous industrial development into this community that will contribute to that. Before approving a data center that could place additional stress on our water system, electricity, and infrastructure, we really need to make considerations. Airway Heights residents have already carried the consequences of environmental contamination. We already have people sick from what's been done. We should not be the community that is continually asked to accept one more risk. This isn't even getting into, like someone else mentioned, the frequencies of these things and people's land that's being taken, people's land that's going to be devalued, countless other issues, whether our aquifer is ever going to be the same again. Please protect people who already live here and require independent studies of environmental, water, health, and infrastructure impacts before allowing this project. Also, not studies run by the people who benefit from this, but actual studies run by independent parties. The Bible tells us in number 5335, do not defile the land where you live. Clean water and land will leave our children are things we have responsibility to protect. Here in the West Plains, our groundwater is already dealing with serious contamination. Please protect our aquifer. Please protect our children and our people. We don't need this. It doesn't bring jobs. That's a lie. There's very little jobs that come with data centers. All that comes with them is environmental destruction, health consequences, and more. Please don't approve a data center in the West Plains. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Not seeing any other hand raised online. Oh, one other hand is raised. Oh. All right, Ms. Anderson.
Hi there, good evening. I'm also asking Airway Heights to please slow down this process and put transparency first. Before any commitments are made regarding the proposed data center and hydrogen project, the public deserves to know exactly how much water and reclaimed water it will require, what infrastructure will be needed, who will pay for it, and what emergency risks come with hydrogen or ammonia. Please do not treat this project as inevitable. Residents deserve answers and meaningful public involvement before decisions are made that cannot be undone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Not seeing any other hand raised online at this point. All right, we'll go ahead and move on from public comments. We do have one public hearing scheduled for this evening. For item D, the proposal for the Victory Ridge preliminary plat of park impact fees in lieu of park dedication. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing at 6:04 p.m. Briefing by Mr. Becker.
Thank you. I'm gonna give you a brief overview. Lake City Engineering, on behalf of the property owner Walter Knopp et al., is requesting the City Council to consider accepting park impact fees under Area Heights Municipal Code 16.09 in lieu of dedication of parkland as required under AHMC 1603-0306 for subdivisions where 10 or more lots are created. The proposed preliminary plat is located along Hayford Road, north of Northern Quest Casino. The proposed preliminary plat site is included within this packet. I believe the applicant will be bringing it up, so you'll get a visual there. The preliminary plat application for subdivision is for 36,408 acres in the neighborhood family residential zone and proposes to create 137 lots and 3 tracts to dedicate right away. The Lake City Engineering is proposed to pay a park impact fee of $269,360,000 in lieu of dedication of 1.82 acres of parkland. You do have my staff report in your packet. I'm going to quickly go over a couple highlights. The first item is what the actual code says, which is AHMC 1603-030 D6. Parkland dedication is required for any subdivision where 10 or more lots are created for a single family or medium density residential development as defined by the most recently adopted comprehensive plan. The dedication shall be a minimum of 5% of the land area prior to required dedications. Dedications may not be used for any other purposes such as stormwater control, storage, or another non-park use. A park impact fee in lieu of land dedication may be considered consistent with the requirements of Chapter 16.09. Park impact fees in lieu of dedication must be reviewed and recommended for approval by the City of Airway Heights Park Board and approved by the City Council prior to the preliminary plat approval. The most recent layout provided by the applicant provides for a tract of land, Tract B. Tract B is 1.53 acres and has a stated intended use of park/open space with the following note. Tract B is to be dedicated to the Homeowners Association for use as open space and park for all residents. Since this note clearly indicates that Tract B is only intended for residents of the Homeowners Association and not in fact dedicated to the public for public use, staff has determined that Tract B does not meet the minimum requirements of AHMC 1603-0.0 D6, meaning that the plat layout as provided does not currently provide for any park dedication. Typically, when we consider variances or administrative exceptions from the municipal code requirements, staff requires the applicant to discuss why standards cannot be met. In this case, the section requires the applicant to provide for a parkland dedication to be included within the plat. It appears that the applicant did not provide a park dedication and instead has opted to request fees in lieu. This makes a decision difficult as the applicant has not provided the required information for City Council to consider which option may be more beneficial for the community moving forward. The staff report also provides a review of Chapter 16.09, which essentially goes into if you accept the fees, how we calculate it, that sort of thing. But we also provided a review of the proposal against the comprehensive plan. It details several goals and policies, mainly goal point G.09, policy P.05, P50, P.52, P.74, 77, and 78. P.74 requires an impact fee, land dedication, or fee in lieu of dedication for community and neighborhood parks based upon the adopted LOS standards set forth in the park element. In response to this, staff believes that the area in which the proposed subdivision is located is outside of any established park service areas as determined by the current Parks and Recreation Master Plan. Accepting the fees in lieu of dedication would also have a negative impact on the currently adopted LOS of 10 acres per 1,000 residents, which is already significantly short of its target goal for 2028. Keeping all of this in mind, staff ultimately recommends that, after reviewing the proposal against municipal code requirements of the comprehensive plan, staff has determined that the acceptance of fees in lieu of dedication for the project known as Victory Ridge Preliminary Plat is inconsistent with the goals and policies of the comprehensive plan and would have a negative impact on the currently adopted level of service standards for the Park and Recreation Department. Staff recommends the City Council not accept fees in lieu of park land dedication for this application. With that, Heather and Andy, do either of you have anything to add?
Thank you. As a matter of process, this matter was brought before the park board. That process and the dates were included in the staff report presented to you. Unfortunately, the park board lacked appointment by the city council. Irregardless, we have included the recommendation of the park board and the staff report for your consideration. The staff report and the recommendations was also presented to the interim parks director, and he indicated by email that he concurred with the recommendation to not pursue the fees in lieu and to retain the parkland. Mr. Gardner is here this evening if you'd like to ask him some questions as well. Are any questions before we turn this over to the applicant's ability to speak to this matter?
Campbell?
I'm not sure I heard correctly. So staff's recommendation was to accept or not accept?
Not accept.
Not accept.
Yes,
Thank you.
it is not to accept. The request is representing the applicant's request on the agenda. We have a presentation for the applicant. Is Mr. Drew Dittman online? Here? Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Chairman and council members. Drew Dittman, Lake City Engineering for the record, representing the Walter Knopp family. I'll lean forward, sorry. Drew Dittman with Lake City Engineering, representing the Walter Knopp family and Copper Basin Construction. As Heather and Zach had said, we're here to ask that the city council accept park mitigation impact fees in lieu of the parkland dedication for the project. Our project, as you can see up here, is located on Hayford Road, just north of the casino and just east of the Community Recreation Center, adjacent to the Raceway Park there. Thank you. Here's a copy of the preliminary plat that we have submitted. Again, we're not here to talk about the plat itself tonight. We're here to ask for the park mitigation fees, but wanted to show you the proposal that we have in front of staff at the moment. It's 139 lots. We are proposing some open space. We are not proposing that open space be dedicated to the city as parkland. That's why we've asked for approval of the fee in lieu. I want to be clear, we are not here to be confrontational or contentious at all with the city. We followed the process that was outlined to us in this request. We did go in front of the Parks Board on 2 different occasions. As a matter of fact, the project was delayed for about 3 months while we waited for the Parks Board to have a quorum so that we could meet with them. Parks Board ultimately did approve the request for the fee in lieu. Go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So you can see the calculation there. It's based on acreage. The land is valued per code at $148,000 an acre. So that parkland, park impact fee in lieu would equate to about $269,360. Like I said, we did go in front of the Parks Board twice. They did vote on it. They did approve to accept the fee in lieu. We didn't find out till after we went in front of the Parks Board that a couple of the members' terms had expired and they weren't legally appointed. I would say that they still made the recommendation in good faith because at the time they didn't even know that their term had expired. So they were acting in good faith and made the recommendation. So we're here tonight to ask the city council to accept their recommendation and allow us to proceed with this plat. Questions for me?
Questions from council? Not seeing any online. All right, thank you, sir. This time, would Mr. Gardner like to address the reasons he is opposed to accepting park fees? Get your take, if you'd be so inclined.
Yeah, so in order for us to continue to meet our current level of service, that is the newly adopted level of service within the new comp plan, it will be important for us to reject this offer by Mr. Dittman and take the request of Mr. Becker and Ms. Troutman, due to the fact that if we are to accept something of this nature, the accessibility for the greater community lessens and we don't have access to that park and it doesn't improve our park system and the level of service that's just currently adopted. Yes, the park board did vote on it, but this actually is not the plat that they voted on at that time. It was different at that time. And so they have not had a chance to review and vote on this plat for the record.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gardner. This time, Chair Bowman has a comment or question.
Yeah, Regarding this, is the reason why the Parks Advisory Board or why we're not recommending the park or taking the fees in lieu of a park on this, is it also due to the fact that this housing development area is so far away from any other park within the city? And if so, is, there any recommendations for an alternative source, potentially a connection to the rec center or something else that can be made in lieu of helping us connect, I guess you should say, to the rec center over there from the development. So that way they have access to a bigger park. That's my only question, and thank you.
Any staff wish to address that question? Becker?
So, I mean, in terms of connection, we would have to look in, and we've had this discussion. I know you've had this discussion about park impact fees and usage. I can't speak to that. We would have to review the RCWs. So as of right now, Heather, unless you have anything, a little more insight on.
Just as a clarification, the currently adopted level of service in the comprehensive plan, and as I understand from Mr. Gardner's testimony, has to do with impacts of additional population to acres. That is the current standard. This project increasing the population and at the request of the Parks Department, the comprehensive plan and municipal code were amended in order to address the ability for park dedication through subdivision. The park board has reviewed, as Mr. Gardner indicated, the application. That site plan was modified, but due to the amount of time that has elapsed while the applicant has attempted to bring this issue to the city council, who is the decision authority, the park board is advisory. The applicant requested that this come forward to city council.
All right, thank you. This time we'll open up for citizen comments on this public hearing. If there are any citizens who wish to speak on this matter, may do so now. Not seeing any in chambers, no hand raised online. All right, with that being the case, I will close the public hearing at 6:17 p.m. Moving forward to the consent agenda. Item CA1, request approval for the August 3rd, 2026 City Council meeting minutes. And CA3, apologies here. At this time, for our amended agenda, if there is desire from council to have a motion to suspend any applicable rule to immediately consider all items on the agenda, including items added during the meeting. Basically, I mean, we don't have to immediately consider all items. Is there a motion to suspend any applicable rule to immediately consider all items on the agenda, including items added during the meeting? Meaning that we don't have to consider them immediately, correct, Mr. Gibbons?
That would allow, the motion would allow suspend any applicable rules so that anything on the agenda may be considered.
Or anything on the agenda can be considered immediately. We can.
I'll bring a motion.
First by Mr. Bowman. For a second. The agenda was approved. This is, Mr. Gibbons, would you like to explain further?
Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that the amended agenda has already been approved. We're doing amended. Okay. Sorry. Regarding the agenda, the amended agenda was considered during the agenda approval item, which is number 4. The purpose of this motion would just be to err on the side of a caution and suspend any applicable council rule to allow immediate action on anything on the agenda, including those items that were added.
All right, there's been a first by Mr. Bowman. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Bro. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, I would request a voice count on this motion.
All right, voice vote granted. Further discussion? All right. We'll go down the dais from my left onwards, and then Mr. Bowman online. I'll vote aye.
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 Nay.
Nay.
The vote being 3 ayes, 3 nays, the motion is not adopted.
And you may ask if Ms. Quisnell wants to abstain if she's present, so I don't.
And yes, correct. Ms. Quisnell has joined the meeting as an observer that may not have connection. So if she can hear us, she may vote. Or we'll count that as an abstention. So for the record, 3 ayes, 3 nays, 1 abstention. Okay, moving on to our back to the consent agenda. Again, CA1, request approval of August 3rd, 2026 City Council meeting minutes. Item CA3, purchase approval register in the amount of $32,009 to Payne Hamblin. Council, what is our desire on the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
First by Ms. Bro, is there a second? Second by Mr. Camacho.
Mr. Chair, I have a question about CA3.
Go ahead, Mr. Campbell.
I'm sorry, specifically invoice number 451288 in an amount of $9,695 attributed to 2026 general matters. Given that it's one of the largest expenditures, in fact, it is the largest expenditure in this particular roster, I would like to have a little more detail, at least, as to what exactly are general matters.
What I can say, and please keep in mind that time entries, the narrative could include attorney-client communication or confidential matters. What matter 2026 general is, generally speaking, is matters where there is no adverse party. It would include time for attendance of meetings like this. It would include time for preparing briefings for meetings like this. It's been some time since I looked at the bills, so I don't remember every specific time entry.
Would that include items like answering emails from council members about legal matters?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any further questions, Mr. Bowman?
And then as far as, I just wanted to clarify, Payne Hamblin is one of a few different attorneys that we use as a city in whole. And, they're traditionally the only ones on the consent agenda. But as far as billing hours are concerned, I believe that the city has been given a significant discount as well, as far as, on the hourly rate. So I just wanted to add that as well.
Question.
Yes.
Is there documentation to prove that, to show that? How do we know? Compared to what? How do we know that we're getting this steep discount? When was the last time that we had a comparison with another firm?
What I can say is my standard rate is $385. I charge the city $280 per hour.
But compared to what other firm?
I don't know that Dan would know what other attorneys would charge. And maybe that's our responsibility to take a look at that.
I agree. I completely agree with that.
Any further questions or comments? Council, what is the desire on the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
First by Ms. Bro. I believe that's right. I have a first and I already had a second by Mr. Camacho. That's right. I forgot. There's been a first and a second. No further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? And that'll pass 6-0 with one abstention. Okay. Moving on to our action items. Item A, the contract for periodic update grant, otherwise known as PUG, from the Department of Commerce. Ms. Troutman.
Thank you. This matter was briefed to the City Council on August 10th. This is part of a multi-year grant from the Department of Commerce. The total grant award is $125,000. The Department of
I'm sorry.
Commerce is a state agency.
Move a little closer just with the air conditioning running.
Absolutely. The grant is administered by the Department of Commerce, which is a Washington state agency, for a total grant amount of $125,000. The state of Washington operates off of an annual budget that runs from July 1st to June 30th of each year. The grant was required to be split into 3 years by the Department of Commerce. This is the final year of that grant for the year of 26 and 27. So of the $125,000, this contract attached for council consideration is for the amount of $21,494. The previous 2 grants, which were awarded, have been completed successfully, and the city has been reimbursed for those 2 previous grants. The state legislature did not provide the total amount necessary to match the awards to each agency which was given a grant. Therefore, the Department of Commerce reduced the City of Airway Heights grant. So from the $125,000, the state is reducing our grant by $381. Therefore, this grant award of $21,494 does not meet the whole $125,000. The City Council is being requested to approve this remaining contract to complete the work for the periodic update, also known as PUG, to complete the requirements of 3670A for the Growth Management Act to update a 20-year plan for comprehensive planning for the city. The $381,000 is proposed to be made up of the planning department budget, so that total amounts for this grant award will meet the total obligation originally commissioned by the state and awarded to the city. Are there any questions?
These, Heather, these deliverables, they're supposed to be complete by December?
That is a
Right.
legislative adoption for the entirety of Spokane County and the cities and towns within it, that we are required to complete the work for updating or the periodic update of the comprehensive plans by December 31st of 2026.
Thank you, ma'am.
No further questions? Thank you, Ms. Troutman. What is the desire of council for the contract for the periodic update grant with the Department of Commerce?
Move to approve.
First by Mr. Camacho,
Second.
second by Mr. Campbell. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? And that'll pass 6-0 with one abstention. Moving on to item B, the general fund deficit transfer request. Ms. Moses.
It's requesting council to approve a transfer from the executive reserve into the general fund to cover the deficit that came into 2026 from the years 23, 24, and 25.
And this was briefed at our previous study session. Any questions from council?
After this transfer, what is left in our funding for, let's say, an emergency that might pop up? Is that gonna make us liable for anything? Are we gonna fall short once this transfer is made?
The executive reserve would have just shy of $100,000, but cash is the cash. And so whether we make the transfer or not, the executive reserve rolls up with the current expense fund to the general fund. And so the net of the general fund is the same. We are just clearing the fund deficit in the specific fund.
Thank you.
No further questions. What's the desire of council on the general fund deficit transfer request?
Move to approve.
First by Ms. Morton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Campbell. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? And that'll pass 6-0 with one abstention. Moving on to item C, the Park Advisory Board appointment of Brooke Brennan. Mr. Gardner.
Staff are requesting the approval of the appointment of Brooke Brennan to the Park Advisory Board. Ms. Brennan applied in May. She was able to attend our July and August meeting where she was able to get familiar with the Park Advisory Board and current issues we have been discussing. This will also come at a good timing to Mr. Don Mitchell's resignation, dropping our board down to 2 current members, bringing us back up to 3 with her appointment, allowing us to continue on with quorums starting in September. Right. Also, this is Ms. Brooke Brennan.
Hi.
Hello.
If there's any questions for her.
Any questions from council?
Did you come before council before?
Yes, I've come before council.
Okay,
before.
I thought I remembered you. Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining the park board.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Council, what's the desire on the appointment of Brooke Brennan to the Park Advisory Board?
Move to approve.
First by Mr. Camacho, second by Ms. Morton. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? All right, that'll pass 6-0 with one abstention. Welcome, Ms. Brennan.
Thank you, guys.
Move us on to item D, the proposal for the Victory Ridge preliminary plat of park impact fees in lieu of park dedication. This was briefed in our public hearing, but Mr. Becker can do a quick recap again.
Thank you. This is a request for fees in lieu of dedication for the Victory Ridge subdivision that is located on Hayford Road, north of Northern Quest Casino.
All right, I'll just state my thoughts on this as stated by staff. I believe we are in need of more parkland given our growing population. So I'd be in concurrence with the recommendation to not allow park impact fees in lieu of park dedication. That's my opinion, but we'll go down the dais for comments.
Actually, I have 2 questions that I regret that I didn't ask earlier of the gentleman. So the HOA, does that cover the entire planned subdivision or only a portion of it?
Drew, I might have you answer that. Sure, absolutely.
Again, Drew Dittman, Lake City Engineering. Can you ask the question one more time?
Does your HOA and that accompanying land that you want to designate for their use, does that encompass the entire subdivision or only portions of it?
No, that's the entire subdivision.
The entire subdivision would be under the HOA and have access to that property?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Becker, my question for you is just to clarify or make sure I understand. So if we did took land in lieu of the fee or took the land, we would become responsible for its maintenance and upkeep and care.
Correct. It would be a public dedication.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Further questions, comments? What is the desire of council? Oh, Mr. Bowman.
Sorry, I was trying to put my hand up there. So in the past, we have done the fee in lieu of parks for a few different subdivisions. Is that correct?
Mr. Bowman, there was a change to the comprehensive plan in 2023 at the request of the Parks Department that sought to require dedication of parkland from subdivisions over an application for subdivision in which the Parks Department sought land and was unable to have that dedication occur. It was subsequently adopted by the city council as well in the municipal code that was outlined in the staff report. So comparing previous subdivisions to the application today, the ordinances adopted by city council have changed.
And that's what I wanted to get at. I remember the change being made. I just couldn't remember what the changes were previous compared to now. Was there a choice previously by the developer or by somebody that was developing the area? And then, because I remember we talked about having more and more parks back then in lieu of fees, if I remember correctly.
Can you restate the question, please?
So subsequent to that, the resolution that we put in place or the ordinance that we put in place in 2023, what was could the developer choose which one they did on their own, or did it still have to go through the process? I'm just trying to get this from my recollection because it was, 3+ years ago that we did that.
So for a property that was being subdivided, there was not a requirement to dedicate parkland, but a payment in lieu could be made to the city. If it was a planned unit development, which is a type of rezone that was overlaid over a piece of property, there is a requirement for open space to be part of that application. So it would depend historically on the type of application, whether or not there was requirement to be open space or if there was an option to pursue fees in lieu of park dedication.
Okay. No, thank you for reminding me. I like to get the context behind it and what was done previously versus now and based on the recommendations. So thank you, Ms. Troutman.
So to clarify, also a question from Mr. Campbell, the proposal here is phrased in the affirmative of what the developer is asking. So the motion can go either way, or we can not have a motion and then it is not granted.
Just to be clear, the agenda is only reflecting the request of the applicant.
Right.
The staff has been clear with regards to the recommendation. So you have before you a request and the city council is the final decision maker.
Is there a motion from council?
Mr. Chair, I think we're still trying to make sure we understand this. If there is a motion made, it would be to accept the proposal. If there is no motion made, the agenda item dies. Is that correct?
You could also have a motion to reject, just so it's clear.
Mr. Chair, I move to reject the proposal.
It's been moved by Mr. Campbell to reject the proposal to approve park impact fees in lieu of park dedication. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Camacho. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? All right, so I believe the count passes 4-0 with 2 abstentions. 5-0 with 2 abstentions. My count's off. 5-0 with 2 abstentions. That's the correct count for a total of 7. Yes.
Thank you, Council.
Okay, thank you. Okay. My apologies. All right. At this time, was the call for an executive session? Mr. Gibbons?
The purpose of the executive session is to discuss performance of a public employee, to discuss with legal counsel threatened or potential litigation, and to discuss with legal counsel legal risks of proposed action. I believe the council is being asked to adjourn to the break room downstairs, and an estimated time of 1 hour, which we would reconvene then at 7:40. And if there's additional time is needed, the chair will announce that.
All right. With that, we will adjourn to executive session at 6.
And And we will, before we go off, we'll call Mr. Bowman. And if it doesn't appear that Ms. Quisnell wants to participate, but if she does, we can get a phone call to her as well.
Mr. Deputy Chair, just for clarification, is this something you want me to participate in or not?
Good question.
It is up to the council to determine who is part of the executive session.
I would recommend that, yes, he be a part of the session.
I've got a first by Mr. Campbell. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Camacho. Any further discussion?
I'd like to request a roll call vote.
Well, granted, roll call vote. All right. Moving down for myself towards my left. All in favor? Aye.
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 All right, and that'll pass 6-0 with one abstention. All right. Moving back, so we will officially adjourn to our executive session 6:41 p.m. To resume at 7:41 p.m. unless extra time is added.
Yeah, wait till 9/11. To make sure our Larry Bowman and Cassandra back on.
All right, at this time, we will resume our legislative session at 9:11 p.m. And that'll continue us on in our agenda to item E, Resolution 2026-018, providing for an investigation into the city manager's work performance. And we'd ask that the entire resolution be read into the record in its entirety.
Sir,
Okay.
can I say something?
Yeah.
I would like to make a motion to reconsider the council's prior action concerning resolution 2026-018, providing for investigation into the city manager's work performance, subject to the city attorney's advice regarding the appropriate parliamentary procedure. The reason I am requesting reconsideration is that I have serious concerns about the sequence and process by which this matter is brought before council. Before council proceeds with an investigation into the city manager's work performance, particularly one that could result in suspension or administrative leave, I believe council should first have a complete understanding of the underlying performance concerns, including the city manager's most recent performance evaluation and the city manager's responses to that evaluation. My understanding is that the council member Campbell made repeated requests for the city manager's evaluation responses, but those responses were not provided to the council. If that understanding is incorrect, I would ask that the record be corrected tonight. I also believe council should have clarity regarding the allegations that form the basis for this action. If there is a written complaint, a memorandum, a report, or other formal documentation submitted by the mayor, city attorney, or another party concerning the allegations against the city manager, I am asking that council be provided with that documentation. I am not asking council to prejudge the outcome of a potential investigation. I am asking that we establish the facts, understand the documentation supporting the allegations, and follow a logical and defensible process before taking an action as serious as an investigation, suspension, or administrative leave. If the documentation does not exist, or if council was not provided with that documentation, the information which would be necessary to make an informed decision, I believe reconsideration for Resolution 2026-018 is warranted. For this reason, I move that council reconsider this action concerning Resolution 2026-018.
All right, council, there's a motion to reconsider
May I make a comment? There's been no action on item E, resolution 2026-18. I believe that a motion for reconsideration would be out of order because there would be nothing to read this time.
All right, the correct would just be to vote on the resolution itself, which we have yet to do. Point of order clarified. All right, back to resolution 2026-018 to be read into the record.
Resolution 2026-018, a resolution of the City of Airway Heights, Washington, providing for an investigation into the city manager's work performance.
Go ahead, Mr. Gibbons. You may read the entire resolution.
Okay, so Ms. DeShiel read the title. The remainder of the resolution is as follows. Whereas pursuant to RCW Chapter 35A.13, the city manager is appointed by and may be removed by the city council. And whereas pursuant to RCW Chapter 35A.13 and other applicable law, the city manager is responsible to the city council for the proper administration of city affairs. And whereas RCW Chapter 35A.13 and other applicable law reflect the city council's authority to independently investigate matters relating to the city's administration and to select the person, apostrophe S, close apostrophe, parent S, close parent, conducting said investigations without the city manager's consent. And whereas the city council has observed a breakdown in communication between the city council and the city manager, and whereas the city council has questions regarding whether the city manager is properly administering the city's affairs. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the city council of the city of Airway Heights as follows. Section 1. In accordance with RCW 35A.13 and in accordance with its responsibility as the elected representative of the citizens of Airway Heights, the city council of the city of Airway Heights hereby selects and retains Christine Slatery of the law firm Miller Nash, quote, investigator, close quote, to conduct the investigation described in this resolution. Section 2, the city council for the city of Airway Heights asks the city's clerk treasurer's office and finance department to serve as the investigator's primary points of contact with respect to record requests and the requests for interviews by the investigator. The city council of the city of Airway Heights further asks that the city's clerk treasurer's office and finance department to assist the investigator in obtaining whatever information the investigator may need for the investigation and to assist the investigator in coordinating and scheduling any interviews of past or present city personnel that the investigator may need for the investigation. Section 3. The city council of the city of Airway Heights hereby directs the investigator to undertake a review of such city records as the investigator deems appropriate and to interview those past and present city personnel as the investigator deems appropriate to evaluate the city manager's performance of his duties and conduct pursuant to RCW 35A.13. The city council of the city of Airway Heights further directs the investigator to furnish a written report to the city council outlining the investigator's process, findings, and recommendations, if any. Section 4, the city council of the city of Airway Heights asks all past and present city personnel to fully and unreservedly cooperate with the investigator to furnish any information and or interviews requested by the investigator. The City Council of the City of Airway Heights also requests that the investigator include in its report any instances wherein a lack of cooperation impeded, impaired, or limited the investigator's work, findings, and or recommendations. Section 5. The City Council of the City of Airway Heights hereby directs the costs of the investigation described herein to be wholly borne by the City of Airway Heights from the city's general fund. Section 6. The City Council of the City of Airway Heights hereby approves and adopts the investigator's retention agreement, which is attached hereto and incorporated herein as Exhibit 1. Section 7. City Council of the City of Airway Heights hereby authorizes and directs Davin Perry as Deputy Mayor and Acting Chair to execute the investigator's retention agreement on behalf of the City Council. Section 8, this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage, introduced the 17th day of August 2026, passed by the City Council this 17th day of August 2026, and there are signature lines for Davin Perry, Acting Chair, attestation by Tara Moses, Clerk Treasurer, approved as to form by Daniel J. Gibbons, City Attorney, and Exhibit 1 is the retention letter that was referenced in the resolution.
All right, council, questions or comments? What is the desire of council on resolution 2026-018?
You better say it now.
Mr. Deputy Chair, as council considers the proposed resolution before you, 2026-018, I do want to provide you with a copy of a document that I asked that you supplement your record to include, which includes communications from the council chair pertaining to said investigation, which seems to prejudice the very nature of it.
So council, on advice from council, we have a couple options here. This can be presented into the record as is, and we can proceed with the motion as is, or it can be tabled to discuss at a later time.
I move to reconsider the motion.
There's no.
I think you're looking for table.
Oh,
If there's, just to be clear, there's been no action on this item, so there would be nothing to reconsider at this point.
Would you move to table? There's been a motion to table the resolution. There a second?
And I'm asking this rhetorically because I'm not sure. We have two council members who are not present. I guess the record should reflect that Mr. Tripp provided a document to the council.
There's a motion, but no second.
I second the motion. I second the motion to table the resolution.
Been a first and a second to table the resolution. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? All right, the motion to table.
Did Ms. Quisnell
She rose her hand. Ms. Quisnell, can you confirm you rose your hand in the affirmative to table? Yes, the motion to table has passed by a vote of 4-3.
So, because it's a bit late, I indulge the chair to just simply restate the results of the vote.
Right. So the vote, clarify me if, correct me if I'm incorrect, the ayes to table the motion were Mr. Campbell, Mr. Camacho, Ms. Morton, and Ms. Quisnell. The nays were myself, Ms. Bro, and Chair, Mr. Bowman. I saw her, she raised her hand and nodded and that she tabled. Is that correct, Ms. Quisnell? You're kind of in the dark. Yeah, thumbs up. She voted to table. Yeah. Okay. Without that resolution moving forward, we'll move on to the next item F, which is Resolution 2026-019, providing for the city manager suspension administrative leave for the appointment of a substitute interim manager, but recommend that we table that, but we can still, we can, right, we can vote, but as far as reading the record.
It's up to the council to decide what to do. There could be a motion to pass, there could be a motion to table, the other motions that council may want to make. Mr. Tripp had informed me that he may have something regarding this particular item.
So are you asking us if we want to table it?
Is there a motion to table?
I motion to table.
And a first to table resolution 2026-019. Is there a second?
I second the motion to table.
Been moved by Ms. Morton, seconded by Mr. Campbell. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? And that'll pass unanimously 7-0 to table that resolution. Item G, was on the agenda, so we can move on without a motion, but that was to name an interim city manager in the event that item F passed. So is there a desire of council for that? Not seeing any.
You may wish to table that as well. I think it would make sense to, it's up to the council. It may make sense to simply table this motion as well.
Is there a desire to table item G, which is naming the interim city manager?
Move to table item G.
Been moved by Ms. Morton. Is there a second?
Second the motion to table item G.
Second by Mr. Campbell. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Those opposed? And that passes 7-0 to table item G. Last item on the agenda was our item H, the department meeting policy. And we amended that agenda, so let me grab that language. This was a policy change for the city of Airway Heights. Shall be that no department head, acting department head, interim department head, or similar officer shall be excluded from periodic meetings of department heads, meetings or discussions regarding such department's budgets, or meetings or discussions regarding increases or reductions to such department staffing, or meetings or discussions regarding elimination, consolidation, or modification of such department. What is the desire for item H?
Move to approve.
I have a first by Ms. Bro. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Bowman. Any further discussion?
So I guess I have a basic question. What potential action? That seems an awfully open-ended statement, and I'm wondering what that potential action would look like. What are we envisioning here?
That's just action framing the motion that the policy of the city of Airway Heights shall be. Right, correct?
That's what I understand the item to be before the council.
That's our action. The potential action isn't part of the policy. That's just, the policy is starting, the policy of the city of Airway Heights shall be. That's where it begins.
Well, my first impression is that is distinctly overreaching for the legislative body to intrude itself upon the executive branch. And that just seems too restrictive in my mind.
Further comments? All right, I have a first and a second for item H. All those in favor? All right, all those opposed? All right, that item H passes with a vote of 4-3, with myself, Ms. Bro, Mr. Bowman, and Ms. Quisnell voting in the affirmative for those who can't see online. No call for a workshop, no call for an executive session. That we will move to adjourn the meeting at 9:32 p.m.
Okay.